We are stuck. I'm going like real loud with the music. It's been a minute. I have to get back into the vibe.
Hey, dude, we haven't did a podcast since Nam, dude.
Well, and you haven't brought us new music lately.
I don't think I've ever brought new music.
We need... no, you did, and then we vetoed it. We should just put Goose on.
You should.
Oh, now you'll bring new music. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Mike Frank, Christian Olson, Amin... I don't know how to say your last name. Khakpouri?
It's close. Khakpouri.
Khakpouri. See? Look at me go. I was so close. Amin is our preferred title partner at Universal Title, the head attorney, or in my opinion, the head attorney at Universal Title. I don't know the reality.
That's very kind of you.
You're welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome.
It's good to be here.
So today we're talking a little bit about the truth behind real estate hacks, especially those on social media. So let's get started with our fancy video here.
Oh, yeah, we get a little reaction.
Oh. live and up front.
What's up, B-Mo? Listen, we just purchased this full block right here, right? So if you see houses like that has red dots on them, those houses you can actually get for $1. So we just purchased this whole block. There's 11 houses on this block. I'm gonna show you how you turn $1 house to a $100,000 house in profit. So they have something that's called the Community Land Trust. The Community Land Trust has $20 million of access and money. You have to be registered with the state in order to get this money. So we're gonna give us a forgivable loan that's gonna be $120,000. So we don't have to pay for the renovation. By us not being able to pay for the renovation, now we'll be able to sell these properties at affordable housing to where as though we're selling.
All right, I'm dead. Here's my perspective.
I can't wait to hear.
There's a lot of things that are out there for our utilization to help develop the community and improve the value of living in Baltimore. However, but this is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the startup investor. This is not for somebody that might just be thinking about buying a property and hiring a contractor. This is for a professional company that's going to take the responsibility on of developing these homes in a proper way, bonded, permits approved, everything done top to bottom. And that house right there might sell for $150,000 or $200,000, and it's certainly going to cost $100,000+ in renovation.
I don't know much about this Community Land Trust. Maybe you do.
But yeah, let's chime in, sir.
Have you heard of that before?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of it?
Womp, 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 womp. What is it?
The Community Land Trust.
I mean, I've heard of it. I know what it is. I know where the money is coming from. I know the intention behind it.
All right.
I can't say that I understand completely how to activate it.
I've never fucking heard of it in my life. And I'm not saying it's not real, right? But like, people, again, looking at this is for the seasoned investor. But we get so many people that are like, Christian, I want to buy a $1 house, a $1 house, a $1 house. Yeah. And I literally say, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't fucking want to buy this at all. Excuse my language.
You know, there's a lot of people that have become incredibly wealthy by doing things like subsidized housing and managing their rental portfolio on government subsidized rent. And a lot of people come to me and they say, oh, Baltimore, that's a great place, government subsidized rent. We want to do that. And I say, you can absolutely do that. And we have a small property management company, and I would love to support you through the process. But unfortunately, we do not cover that market area, right? And people don't understand the dynamic. And it's one of the challenges that come along for me when I'm targeting that business. Now, there are subsidized housing communities. There are subsidized housing rental properties that we do manage, but it's not as easy as what you see in a social media video where I bought this property for 40 grand, I renovated it for 30, I'm into it for 70,000, and I'm renting it Section 8 for $1,400.
But also what's confusing to me, and I just don't know, I thought when you had to buy these $1, if you get it for $1, it has to be your primary residence.
Why is it $1? Why are you going to be like, what's wrong with it?
Because I think
$1 out.
No.
It's actually how they sell it for $1.
Nothing's wrong with it, but I thought there was also, like, if you were an investor, it changed from $1 to another price as to where this person seems like an
$2.
$2. I thought it was $3.
$3.
You got $3?
Cash.
Cold hard cash.
Quiche.
But I don't understand. I guess it was more expensive for people to go in there as an investor and renovate it, because a lot of people that want to purchase these with the $1 house and have this as their primary residence you're going to buy it for $1, but you have to like live in it, and it's going to cost $100 plus to at least renovate.
I think that's where the community trust comes in.
To give you the money to renovate it? But how does it come to an investor?
Can I mute myself while I talk here? Like, nobody can hear me talk. I'm just going to mute myself. But I don't want to say it because I don't know the validity of it. Before I would speak on this, I would want to look it up. But I believe that's where the community trust comes in. I think that it's designed to support people that want to go in and live in the community. There's a lot of support for people that are looking to buy where they're renting. There's buy back the block programs. There's a lot of opportunity here in Baltimore for people that come from renting to become a homeowner. It's just challenging when people see, I had friends in Wyoming hitting me up. I had friends in Arizona. I remember Gordon Hagman sent me this video, and it was a Barbara Corcoran video of buy a house for $1 in Baltimore. And he's like, you should talk about this, which is great. I mean, it's clickbait, and I totally understand that.
What this kind of sounds like, it sounds like I'm looking at SBC.
You don't have anything to bring to the table? Come on, bro.
I can tell you the city's always had incentives to buy distressed properties.
Yeah.
From the city's perspective and from any locality, right? Tax revenue is what matters to be able to use that implemented in different areas. And the higher the value of the property is in the assessment, that's the higher taxation coming in as a revenue, right? So the incentives are always going to be there to incentivize people to come in, purchase the properties, renovate them to their max potential, and then be able to assess it at an actual legitimate value.
Yeah, so I understand that. And
this is the reverse of the mic drop right here.
We're going to shift gears just a little bit because me and Mike were talking about it. I had recently put an offer on a house in Baltimore. Looking at the taxes, it's a $399,000 house. Taxes, I think, a year, a little over $7,000. And there's a petition going around. I think it's called Renewed Baltimore.
Renewed Baltimore?
Yeah.
To lower Baltimore city taxes. In Baltimore
Wait, time out. What is your perspective?
I mean, I think, it depends who you are, right? From a standpoint of someone who wants to make a decision if you want to move into Baltimore, I think it certainly would be something to account for. If you plan on living in a city for 10 years and I will save you $20,000, $30,000, how much ever that would be depending on your property, I think that's a significant decider and a big decision. Yeah.
Okay, but who wouldn't be a fan?
The fucking government.
The government.
Yeah.
Who? When you said it depends on who you are, right? That means that there's someone that's pro and there's someone that's con. So who would? I'll tell you, when I first heard it, I was like, how can that possibly be a good idea?
Well, I think if you're an institutional investor, that will help you. The higher the taxes, that will help you gobble up more properties because you're weeding out people who are barely on the line. So, for example,
but I also think it provides opportunity to people that are on the line.
Is it weird that we talk about institutionalized like someone who has a mental challenge, and then we talked about institutional investor as someone who understands the proper way to invest? Anyway,
no. Here's what I'm saying. So for example,
but institutional investors don't have voting rights in the city, so they don't even have an opinion in the matter except to lobby their perspective, I guess.
Sure, but the point is, if you
that's a good point.
Yeah, it is a good point.
I do also like my institutional point.
I like how you take something so fundamental in business world and you take it into a
fundamental. Duh. Anyway.
I see where this is going.
I'm dead.
So what I was pointing at is, for example, let's just say you're buying a $250,000 house in the city. You're looking at taxes probably north of about, if it's assessed at $250,000, it's about $6,000 or so, almost $7,000, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for someone who's probably their mortgage payment, a third of which is going to probably have to go toward taxes, that might be a lot of money to fork up.
Certainly.
Right. But from an entity that owns 100 or 200 rental properties, most of which are obviously, from a tax standpoint, they're deductible and they go into the whole umbrella of their expenses that they can reduce at the end of the year. So it's the same thing for a homeowner, but the homeowner's feeling that every time they're making part of their mortgage.
Well, the other perspective for me is that the Renew Baltimore principle is the idea of lowering the expense, but the other byproduct is that we're also raising the value. We're increasing property value by lowering the money that we're giving to the government. Thus, by encouraging more people to buy, we're generating more revenue through recording and
then wouldn't the
taxation at the time
assessments
of
go up
acquisition,
even more?
and the assessments would go up across the board. So the average value assessment would be higher, and we would be collecting more across the board rather than collecting $12,000 from the waterfront homes and $1,200 from the vacant homes. We'd be collecting $700 from the vacant homes, but we'd be collecting $9,000 from the waterfront homes, and we'd be collecting $5,000 from homes all across the world because we're able to increase value.
But what's also kind of crazy is like we would do a lot of work with Live Baltimore and buyers in the city, and some of them go and look at recently renovated properties. Now the tax record's not updated, so our buyer will be pre-approved for 200, 220, 250, and they'll go look at a brand new renovated home. But because the tax rate, they don't know what's going to be reassessed at, they can't put an offer in on it because now the tax is going to be too high at the new assessed value.
I would like to clarify for those of us that are listening, we do know how to make this offer. It's not that we don't know how to offer on it, but I do understand what Christian's saying. We're literally running down the road.
Well, I never said that we didn't know how to put an offer in on it.
Those were your words.
Did I say we didn't?
Buyer doesn't know how to offer on it.
I don't think I said that. Did I say that?
Anyway, doesn't matter.
I don't know. My brain after today is all over the place.
You can clarify.
But so we do know how to put an offer in on it. But I guess better question: we don't know the taxes, what the exact tax amount is going to be when they do put an offer in on it, and what their monthly payment's going to do, and how that's going to affect their pre-approval. Do they even qualify for the home after this new assessment has been put out? So it's like the barrier of entry is extremely high and difficult for these buyers to get in, and it's not just for them; it's for everybody that's looking to the city. And I agree with you. When people come to look at where they want to buy, Baltimore City does offer incentives, but again, you run into this tax issue. So like a buyer like me and Mike were looking at property in Baltimore County upstairs literally the other day, and I just so happened to come across this one in the city that I liked. But the monthly payment, I could afford a $300,000 house in the city and maybe a $350,000, $375,000 house out in the county.
That's the challenge.
So
but
there's
we're also talking about like investing, just generic investing, but what about like other Instagram hacks? What about house hacking? Or everybody knows my perspective on house hacking, but there's a lot of other ways that people are seeing on social media.
But this is also like what this guy's doing. It's a full-time job. Haha, play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a full-time job.
I got you.
But
you mean buying the dollar houses, renovating them, and turning them over.
Yeah.
I that's why I said in the beginning, I think that it's clickbait. It's the idea of becoming alluring. And no hate on Baltimore City, but I do think that this is bad positioning by saying, oh, we have dollar houses. Not only are we making our city look like we're decrepit because we're selling houses for $1, but we're also marketing an unattainable property. Don't forget that a lot of these houses, how many of these houses are going to have violations and liens and tax defaults and other things on them that have to get paid back at the time of acquisition? It's not like it's $1. It's $1 plus recording fees. It's $1 plus taxation. It's $1 plus, violations.
I want to read something that you had showed me from Mayor Brandon Scott in the city of Baltimore.
Are we still on the
tax issue?
We're still on the Renew Baltimore. Christy's not letting it go.
Well, it's also a part of these taxes. It like all goes into this kind of reel that we had looked at and just at our topic of conversation. Thursday, June 20th, 2024, Mayor Brandon Scott released the following statement on the announcement that Renew Baltimore is a political effort aiming to dramatically reduce the city of Baltimore's revenue, and it has been submitted for signatures for the ballot to be placed on November 2024. The statement of dramatically reducing the city of Baltimore's revenue is just...
Well, I think that his perspective is one that attracts voters.
But also, what the fuck?
That's just what I think.
What is redoing the harbor going to do? Who needs like these new high-rise condos or apartments and all this?
The people with the money that pay for the lobbying that attract the voters. Like this is, I genuinely think that's what that's about. My personal opinion.
It says this dramatically short-sighted and naive proposal would bankrupt the city of Baltimore and rob its residents of necessary city services that so many of our families rely on.
That's literally the mayor talking to the people that vote to say, hey, I'm standing up to you to make sure that we provide you services, rather than explaining why the change that Renew Baltimore is proposing could be potentially viable.
This just seems such like a bankrupt the city.
Yeah.
That just seems so like, I don't know. we're going down a whole nother route here.
Literally,
But
Christian's running
don't-
circles.
it doesn't make sense.
Give a
to
dude
me.
a little cryotherapy, and now he's running in circles.
Cryotherapy and cupping.
All right.
got a
So
clear
let's go into a couple other ways that people see on social media, ways that they can generate, I'm going to say quick flips, right? Quick income. The first one is house hacking. We talk about that all the time.
Okay.
Has anyone done house hacking? No. No.
like you probably have.
I haven't.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, no, I guess not the traditional method.
Not the
but,
traditional
like,
method.
Yeah.
But the thing that bothers me about house hacking is that the very people that do it are the ones that are like, I'm house hacking. Like it's a skill. No offense to anyone, but it's also the same thing that I hate about entrepreneurs. That's a personal thing that I don't like, right?
I mean, do
You don't like the term entrepreneurs?
No, it's a
Or the
it's a
self-proclaimed?
term. It's a self-proclaimed.
Do you own any investment properties? No.
Being an entrepreneur would be like saying, oh, I bought this Cal Ripken baseball card when I was in elementary school, and now it's worth $14, so I made money. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, no, you're... Sorry. I didn't even say it. I just bleeped myself out. I'm not even going to say it. Like... it's just like my personal vendetta against the world. If you're going to come out and present yourself in that way, that's just how I feel. It is what it is. So when you're house hacking, those people that are buying property, especially like Fed, Fells, Canton, but people are buying around Johns Hopkins, people are buying around the universities, people are buying even up in Towson. People are buying property and they're renting out rooms. That's house hacking. I get it. People are doing Airbnb, short-term rental, nursing rentals. Like these are all ways to house hack, and I'm totally about it until you say that you're house hacking, and then I'm not about it. Right? Like we were cool until you said that.
It's just terminology.
I just don't like the people that do it. Because the people that do it are the same people that are like, oh, I'm a real estate investor. You're like, oh, what do you do to invest in real estate? They're like, I'm house hacking. I'm like, all right, well, I guess technically you're right.
Also,
but like,
Mike's not a fan of people who are into tax liens.
no, that's not true. I bought property at tax lien. I'm all about
done
tax
it?
lien. Yeah.
Dude, I swear to God,
It's
everybody
just
around
challenging.
you learns something new every single
To
day.
be honest
that
with
is,
you,
like, never
buy
tax
ground
lien acquisition is one of the best ways to actually be an investor.
I've never heard you say this.
See, I think it's aged
never.
out. It used to be. I don't know if it's still.
No, it's you're a legitimate investor if you buy a
Sure,
tax
yeah.
lien. You bought a tax lien, you get the opportunity to charge interest, and then if they don't redeem the tax lien, then you take ownership of the property.
Yeah,
that's a
presuming you want the
legitimate investment. Presuming that you want the property.
Yeah.
Well, then you shouldn't have bought the tax lien in the first
No, but
place.
some people legitimately do it just for the interest.
Right.
But the interest is worth nothing if you're not really willing and ready to foreclose on it.
Well, right. So then they're not who I want to deal with.
No, I know. But you're limiting. You see what I'm saying? Like if the whole spectrum of it allows you to collect interest and penalties, but also foreclose on it. Like there are folks that are in it to foreclose on it, but there are also folks in it that are just literally trying to collect the interest and the penalties. That
So-
part of it is no longer...
It's not viable.
Yeah.
No. Right.
And to foreclose, you want to foreclose on the ones that actually have assets.
Right.
Actually matters when you take over.
Well, and it's challenging. It's not that I don't like it. I like it. It's just very, very challenging. Buying the worst house in the best block.
I'm about it.
I'm about it if it's long term.
It's got to be long term. Almost all of these have to be long term.
Well, not the first one, not the $1 house. You
Yeah,
can
well,
flip
that's
that thing
true.
back around.
You could flip that around. That's true. But buying the worst house in the best block, in my opinion, when you buy the worst house in the best block, you have to be ready to do the investment.
Yeah.
Why do you say it's going to be long term?
Because I think when it comes back around, it'll be even better.
Like long term is what timeline do you put?
Like,
to that?
let's just say the community, the neighborhood is great, right? Whether it's a school system, whatever it may be, amenities or whatever. I think down the line, more people are going to want to move into that neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So I think down the line, it really doesn't matter how much you bought yours for. It's so far down the tax
So you think
record
like putting the money into it and then having
Sit
the
on it.
equity grow over time to really
yeah.
get more.
Because
Yeah.
every house that is selling is your comp, your new comp, right? So even if your house is a little bit smaller, not as nicely done, you're banking off the equity of the one that's sold down the street, but it's still in the same great neighborhood.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
this is
I'm about it.
This is you guys' forte. I'm just
Well, the other piece of this
layperson.
that I really like is buying the worst house on the best block. If you buy the house that's like, really well designed and has the beautiful couch that you love, oh my God, I have the same couch, or, these people are horse people, I love them already, or like, oh, they have a dog and a cat, right? Like, if you love what they have in the house versus going down the street and finding another house with like, lime green paint from when the kids painted the basement and scratches on the ceiling from where they had, they were playing basketball or whatever, like, these are things that you do even in the house that you love, you paint it. Even in the house that you love, you refinish the floors, you redo the carpets, you improve things like the shower head, you change out the sink faucet or the appliances, right? But when you're buying the worst house on the street, you're still painting it, you're still doing flooring, you're still doing the appliances, right? We're not talking like renovating a kitchen. We're just the things that you're gonna do anyway. To me, is the best investment. Because you're going to paint the house, even the nice house.
I see it, but I also would not agree with that.
Why?
Okay, let's say we walk into a property and it's like this.
We walk into a bar. 3 guys walk into a bar. 2 real estate agents and an attorney walk into a bar. Continue.
This is recently renovated. Why the fuck do I need to paint these walls?
It's not need to. It's that in the long run, you're going to.
In the long term.
That's what he said.
yeah. I think you'll have to.
I like the
But
echo.
he's talking
house.
long term with a property that is, the shitty house on the best block. But we're talking like you just had mentioned the nicest house.
No. What I'm saying is by comparison, you walk into 2 houses with buyers and they walk into the nice house and they fall in love with it because of what they have in the house, right? You walk into another house on the street, it needs carpet, it needs paint, it needs some new appliances, but nothing major, right? Like even things like the roof, okay? I love this argument, right? We bought our first house. He owned a home before we got married. Then we got married. Then we sold his house. We've lived in this house for 7 years. We know what it's like to be homeowners. And then we're going out and buying a new house. We're living in this house for a long time. We just had our 3rd kid. This is our house for 20 years, right?
Okay.
And then they buy the house that has the new roof. Well, it has a new roof. I go, who gives a shit? Is the one with the older roof leaking? Because if not, you're gonna replace the roof when you live there for 25 years anyway.
I see. I understand what you're saying.
So like buying the worst house on the best block is just like you're getting added equity from things that you're already gonna do.
Yeah, I can
wrong
see
finger.
that. I can see what you're saying.
I got it. Okay. I like this one. The Burr method, or the risks of refinancing of investing in other property. Why are you laughing?
Just
Let me
I
hear
just
it.
I just wonder what the success ratio is on some of these methods.
I want you to know that no one watches this podcast. I don't think anyone watches. So anyone that watches, thank you so much. You can speak freely. There's no shame here.
Specifically on the Burr, like I just want to know like what, like
Okay, explain to people what the Burr method is, first of all.
buy, renovate, to refinance,
Refinance and repeat.
and then repeat. Yeah,
And it's Burr, B-R-R-R-R-R-R-R, right? Like, brrrr.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
the Birdman. So
Do you think the success rate is low?
Well, what he said was, I wonder what the success rate is.
what
Well,
I mean is like I wonder how much of them or how many of them are over leveraged by the time they're done with the refi. So then if there is a shift in the market, like where does it put
Like
them?
it's not super profitable at that point.
If you're holding it for a long time, I guess it's probably great, right? But if it's like so over leveraged and you need the cash after
But-
you do the refi,
Isn't that typically what it is? Like you're gonna need the cash once you refi so you can buy the next house.
Well, that's what the objective is. The objective is to buy for $80,000, spend $50,000 renovating it,
Right.
so you're into it for 130 plus or minus, right? And then you refinance, and now it's worth 180. So then you take out all of the money that you put in, the 80 plus the 50. You take out all the money you put in, and then now you have a refinance on a $180,000 property that you pay monthly on with a mortgage, and then you go and buy another one. So buy, renovate, refinance, repeat, or buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, depending on how many R's you want. And then, so this is the idea.
I feel like it's not that bad though. And not that you should keep all your shit, but I feel like it's.
I think
My aunt is going to be so happy with me. No cursing on today's podcast.
I think banks do a
I
great
lied.
job.
My aunt watches. I'm sure that she watches.
Hi.
And Jeff Bisker.
And Jeff Bisker and my wife.
I
And
think
the 30 other people that subscribe to it.
I think the banks do a good job of making sure you're not over leveraged. Like they're probably not gonna let you take out the entire equity. You're probably getting up like what 80, 75%.
I think it's
right?
70.
Yeah, so probably lower. So right, like you should have some equity even after you refi.
Yeah.
So let's just say off of our idea, 180,000. If you took out 70, you wouldn't even be able to take out the 130 that I just said. You'd be able to take out 126. But then you like leave in 4 and then you're happy with that because you're turning a cash flow and then you turn it again and again and again. And I would be more on Amin's side of this than Christian's because I think there are far more people that talk about it than actually do it.
But also, I think, like, to your point of, like, buy the shittiest house you can, no matter where you're at. Like if you can buy a house, whether it's the nicest one or the shittiest one, like, you need to do something. Like, you've always said, buy the shittiest house. That's what I would do. If
Buy
I
the
had bought it.
shittiest property you can afford at 18.
But like, that mentality is, like,
best
do
advice.
what you can with, like, what you have, essentially.
Right.
Right? So, like, what if this is, like, this person's only means of building their real estate portfolio?
I think as the script says it, the risk of refinancing, right? We're not necessarily saying this is a bad idea, but my fear, and this is where I come into contact with so many investors that want to do this, and then I share with them my fear is that you get into a position where you've invested 130 grand and you can't refinance out all 130. You can only refinance 90 because of value, or because maybe you wanted to refinance out 130 and our expectations were right and our numbers were right because
So is the risk?
but you actually spent more.
Is the risk in refinancing just the money you can pull out?
It depends on your
But like,
Position.
what other risk would there be of refinancing?
the market changes.
And what does that mean, though?
Like, what if you... All right, so this is a situation that you would use the Burr method. You would buy with a hard money loan, like a 13, 15% loan, and then you would want to refinance out in 6 months, and something happens, your contractor screws you, your tenants move in the time that your tenants are there, something else happens, the tenants stop paying rent, you can't refinance out because you don't have the revenue stream from the rental income. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there paying 13% interest for 9, 12, 15 months. How many months are you going to be able to do that at $130,000?
And it's due because it's got a balloon on it, so it's gonna come due after.
See,
6
that
months
just
of the
makes it
year.
sound really good.
Yeah,
A balloon.
it pops.
So
But he's right. That's exactly how we see it. Like when we do like somebody comes in, buys it with a private lender, hard money lender.
Okay.
They got a 6 month to a year before that loan balloons on them.
and when you say the loan, like, let's say that the price of that property they're originally buying is $80,000. So that $80,000 is due at that balloon date. if you
Yeah,
will.
from the private holder.
Okay.
They're gonna want their money. If they grant you an extension, it's gonna come in at a higher price point.
Okay.
So you have to find a way to either refi that property out or sell it. More often than not, you don't want to sell it. Like, for one, it may not be a.
I guess this makes much more sense now. Of like why it's a little bit riskier and it's not your necessarily
I
preferred
think
method, because it seems
It's
like
not so risky when you take the money out on the refi side. It's
Right.
before you get there. Like,
right,
Yeah.
right, but you're like banking on everything falling into place.
Yeah.
Okay, it's also where like people come to us all the time and they've got 40 grand and they want to invest the 40 grand and they get into this real sexy, lucrative, I can do this. And you're like, oh, 40 grand is just, it's not going to carry you to that outcome because of these kind of risks.
Yeah.
It could if everything worked out right, but it's like, guys, we have to be cautious, right? The last one here is balancing real estate risks with rewards. And I think that a lot of people see the reward because that's the one that gets 10,000 hits on Instagram. That's the one that gets 100,000 views on TikTok. That's the one that gets really trendy. And even you know this, like these different real estate investing strategies, they go in like waves. You see everyone doing this one thing and then they go away. And then
With sub two,
everyone, sub 2 was such a big thing for a long time.
I'm surprised you guys didn't bring it up.
Why?
Subject to.
I love sub 2. It just doesn't work. It works functionally, like it's possible. But
I feel like it's like the same thing as like assumable loans. Like all these things, assumable loans. Or
yeah,
like
but
this
I'd
guy
rather
buys-
sub 2.
Well, I know,
Bro, if I could sub 2 my primary
I
residence.
disagree. Assumable is just so much
No,
Wait a second.
whatever.
It's just so much better. It's,
Oh my
it's
God.
clean. It's
Mike's getting up
nice.
for this.
I'm glad you're getting excited because you're wrong.
Why? No. Help me understand. If I was to buy a property, right?
You don't want to be on either side of a subject to, and I'll tell you why. So
Here for it.
if you're the seller,
Yeah.
if you're the seller,
Yes.
all right, you're basically relying on someone who has no contact with your lender, has no contractual obligation to your lender to make that monthly payment on your behalf month in and month out.
Right.
So that's, for one, unless you care about your credit score, that's a disaster of a
Correct.
promise to be in. From a buyer side, you're at the mercy of that lender to not call back that loan immediately within 30 days. Because when they do, if you don't get that loan paid off, you got to revert title back to the seller. And if you do, you lost the equity you gave them at closing.
Wait, can you explain that again?
Yeah. So
The seller side sucks because you're allowing the buyer to take on the monthly payment. It'd be like
No, I understand that,
co-signing for your cousin's
why,
car.
I'm trying to figure out what I couldn't understand why you said the buyer side was so bad.
Yeah. So you're not basically every loan, residential, has a due upon sale clause. It accelerates the loan. Meaning if you transfer title out of your name, if you're the borrower, right, the lender has an option to take back the loan.
This is the
Accelerates
most
it.
litigious
So they can
podcast.
essentially
It's the same
like a
reason-
balloon almost. Like, hey, all this money's due.
No, it's literally the reason for payoffs at closing for sellers. Because they're selling the property, they got to pay off their loan. It's the same exact concept. The fact that you're doing it with a title deed, not as part of fair market value,
so-
has nothing to do.
Then how is this even allowed?
Oh, I'm not. for one, underwriting it is different on the title side than it would be on a regular transaction. On a regular transaction, as a title company,
So do buyers, when they go in subject to, they have to understand that the lender could call 250 grand to be due in the next 30 days.
and there is
Correct.
no title policy protection for it.
And then what happens? Like, what happens if they don't have that due?
The lender will send a letter, presuming they want to invoke that clause in the mortgage. They'll send a letter saying, "We noticed that you transferred the title to the property out of our borrower. Please revert it back or pay the balance at this amount, which is owed. And if you don't, we'll foreclose on it."
Have you ever seen that?
Absolutely, they'll come out.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not every
out of all
lender-
the times I've heard sub 2, whether it be on some of our like network.
Nobody
things,
talks
Well, it's
about the
euphoric.
bad part.
It's euphoric. It's like what the
It's
perfect
Do
scenario.
we
euphoric.
have a million
Yeah.
shares on this clip right now?
listen-
This is where like I'm talking about chocolate and I want chocolate and everybody's like it's good for you. I'm like, oh yes it is. I love it.
Yeah, it's great to take advantage of somebody's 2.5% rate for the next 25 years that they have left on it. That's awesome. But if the lender calls that loan back, you're, as a buyer, you're in a pretty bad position.
What incentive do they have to call it back? Because don't they want to earn interest on that loan?
Do they? Do they want to keep it at 2.5%, or would they rather have it at 7%?
Well, regardless of what the interest rate is, let's say subject to could be a 4% interest rate, right? That's still better than today's current market, but like,
Great question. So when a lender gives you money, they're legally collecting it in two different ways.
okay,
They're collecting it, one, under a promissory note, which is a personal obligation to pay back the loan. Their second option is the collateral, which is the real estate. That makes it even more incentivizing for a lender than the personal, because the personal, you got to go through a collection, garnishment,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Whereas a real estate, it's easy. When you take your title out from the person that borrowed the money, you are jeopardizing and you're breaching the collateral, because you're no longer the person that borrowed the money and is also on title.
so here's another piece. Who notifies the lender of this exchange?
What do they get from the county?
Tax bill.
You think the name on the tax bill changes when they change title?
I would imagine so.
There you go.
Yoicks.
Is there anything? No, we're going down a rabbit hole. Is there anything that the buyer can do? I guess not, because then it wouldn't be a transfer of ownership in a way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it works out, are there scenarios where the lender just keeps getting their monthly check and they're cool with it? Absolutely. But the scenario is not that. The scenario is what if it goes wrong? And if it goes wrong, if you're the buyer, you've already given the seller the equity when you took the property.
Yeah, damn, that's actually risky as fuck. I had never heard.
I mean, it's cool online, right? Like, people talk about it.
Well,
oh,
no,
yeah, it's
right,
great.
but this is like mind blowing. I had never heard of this.
It's
Never. I have
It's
not heard of
really
one-
cool when the numbers make sense.
But you
Yeah, but
like
like-
it more than assumptions?
I like the idea of not having to fill out paperwork and get a mortgage.
Yeah, but
loan.
forget that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think you're crazy.
I think the assumption, like now that you bring it
Assumptions
up,
are great.
It seems
But,
more
okay,
secure.
counter argument.
Well, you're right,
I
it's
would
brutal to
prefer
go
a
through
sub
it.
2 at a wicked low rate not more than an assumption.
But assuming it's the rate, same rate.
You're right.
So the
It's
assumption
being recorded,
is
right?
This is being recorded. yeah. It's like, I know I'm right. All right, so let me ask, what is the best real estate hack that you've seen someone take advantage of? Someone that you know, someone that you've talked to, someone that you actually have worked with or know personally? Me?
probably not many of my clients have done it.
Now I have 2 actually.
I'm trying to think.
I think the place we're in right now is pretty good.
Yeah. That's the one that I was just thinking of. That wasn't what I was originally thinking of.
Like listening to your story and seeing where you've come and like the house that you had originally bought in Baltimore County on Green Spring.
Oh, I mean, that's cool.
How is that not like somewhat
Nah,
house
that's
hacking?
not the best
You've
one.
done all the. Well,
Nah,
I'm not saying
alright,
the best, but like
so-
I don't have anybody that has done something like house hack to the best.
I guess you're right.
I don't do many like investor clients as of right now.
The best I have seen is the easiest one to do, and every young person should take advantage of it. You buy a property, you put down 3.5% or 5% or whatever you decide to put down.
Okay.
And then you rent it to 2 friends, and then that's house hacking, right? Like, but you're not you're just like doing it, and then you buy another one and you do the same thing over again. That to me is the best real estate investment out there.
You were asking me to like, pick a person that I knew.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what
but
it
then
sounded
as
like.
soon as you said me, this office is by far and away the best investment ever. Hands down. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
$0 out of pocket. Yeah.
Wild, dude.
So for those of you that don't know, we bought this office. It's a commercially zoned building, and it was sold as basically a shell. And what we were able to procure was a primary resident commercial loan. So because we reside in this building and we do business out of this building, it is a primary residency in the eyes of the bank. And then they have a renovation program. So it's up to like whatever the percentage is, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, whatever the program is. And what we did, the way we worked it was the numbers for the acquisition plus rehab were one such, we were able to do it within the 80-20 that the bank was able to give us. So acquisition, taxes, title, transfer charges, and the renovation budget was all 80% of the value after renovation. So the bank gave us all the money, 0 cash out of pocket, and now I think this property's probably got somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 in equity. I would say that that's probably the best one.
You wouldn't argue it has more?
How did they do the ARVs? Like, I just never understand it.
I know how to do it, and I would hack this system even better next time. So any of you guys that have questions, I can help you hack it even better. Oh, yeah, totally
just
legal.
how did they do it?
Totally legal. So what we did was we gave them a scope of work, just as if it was a renovation loan for a primary.
Okay.
And we built out the scope of work for the value, and then we issued that to an appraisal company. With commercial loans, you actually bid out the appraisal. So you give it out to 3 different companies, they come back and they give you a price to do the appraisal. Because commercial appraisals are a lot more challenging. There's less content and it's more tasking. And so we got 3 different prices, and of course we went with the cheapest price. And the cheapest guy came out, he took an evaluation of the property, he took our scope of work, and he took the after renovation intended use. And he said, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And then he gave us an appraisal value, and that was what they chose.
It's not just like a simple percentage of...
No. The way I would flip it around to do it next time, I would...
How did that play into your ARV though? Like just like the appraisal basically gives you that ARV. Like
yeah, that's so the way the bank did it was the lesser of 2 numbers. It was the appraisal value or the acquisition plus the rehab.
okay.
And so I bolstered the rehab
Wouldn't
a little
it always
bit.
be?
Yeah, but
It's almost like...
the problem that I did, I have a lot of friends that are in the industry, so we got the opportunity to take advantage of discounts because I said, hey, this is our primary business. And, you know, for our roofing company, for example, they didn't do it at cost, but, you know, we have a lot of clients and they work with us a lot and we don't ask anything from them. They don't market with us or anything. We just help them grow their business. And so when we did this roof, they came out and they gave us a really wicked price. What I would do next time is I would put my scope of work to the retail price instead of putting it to the price that we were expecting to pay.
So you get more money?
Yeah. So like this roof, for example, is probably somewhere between $12,000 and $16,000 or $17,000 roof.
Like
Retail value.
Okay.
I think we budgeted $8,500 and we ended up spending like $76 or something like that.
Wow.
So I would have my
listener,
retail value on my scope of work, not my.
Again, just to clarify for the listeners, so like when you get the $12,000 for the roof, if it only costs you 70, whatever you said, you get the difference of that 12 and the 7, and you can use it for something else.
Potentially.
Okay.
But in this particular scenario, that's not the way it works. In a typical renovation, that is the way it works. In this particular scenario, what they did was they literally gave us one big check. They were like, hey, this building is going to be worth $1 million. We'll give you 80% of $1 million. Here's $800,000. Buy the building, do the renovation. Anything you spend over $800,000 is not our problem.
And then it's just a standard loan on the money that they gave you plus your purchase price.
It's all one.
It was
lump sum.
one lump sum. That's how we literally walked into settlement with nothing. And I walked out of settlement with a universal title pen and a manila folder with the check in it for a gross amount of money that I wasn't expecting.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah. Touche. All right, so a lot of things going on this summer. If you guys don't already know, the Renaissance Festival is back. It begins the end of August. It runs all the way through the beginning of October. The Ocean City Air Show is coming up at the end of August. And, of course, Music City Festival held in Catonsville, which is our quote-unquote Music City. They do a lot of food trucks and vendors and stands out there at, what is that intersection? I can't think, but Bill's Music is right there on the intersection there, too. So there's a lot of things going on here in Baltimore all summer long until we have to go back to school. Okay. And don't forget Maryland, what is it? The Maryland State Fair is coming up soon too.
Where's that at?
Right by my house. Timonium Fairgrounds. Yeah.
I've never been.
All right. Well, hey, Amin, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
And it took you a little while to warm up, but we love you. How can people reach you? Where can they find you? Universal Title is great. If you guys don't already know, real estate agents especially, talk to your Universal Title rep. How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, perfect. So on Facebook, you can hit up any one of our 4 branches, Universal Title Howard County, Baltimore, Owings Mills, and Towson. And on Instagram, universaltitle.md is for Central Maryland area.
And that's just Maryland. We've got Bel Air, we've got Virginia, we've got DC. Universal Title is huge. They're a real big support. Even with clients, we've had them step in and really support us as well. You can always reach us on Instagram at michael.frank___, on our website at frankoliverco.com. You can find this blog and so much more under additional resources. Christian?
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead.
One day we'll get you to change that.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.